The business behind $100,000 pickup trucks. October 7th, 2008, 2:13 a.m. Dearborn, Michigan. The lights are still on inside the glasshouse. Ford Motor Company stock closed that afternoon at $4.98. 1 year earlier, on October 9th, 2007, it had traded above $8. General Motors was bleeding cash at a rate of nearly $2 billion a month. On Wall Street, the Dow had already fallen more than 30% from its October 2007 peak of 14,164.53. Inside a sealed conference room on the 12th floor, Alan Mulally is staring at a spreadsheet projected onto the wall. Liquidity, burn rate, North American truck margins. Someone mentions the unthinkable, suspend F-150 production. The room goes silent, because everyone in that room understands one thing. If the trucks die, Ford dies. 6 months later, on March 29, 2009, President Barack Obama would force Rick Wagoner to resign as CEO of General Motors. On June 1, 2009, GM would file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Chrysler had already filed on April 30, 2009. Detroit collapsed. But the full story of the collapse wasn't about sedans. It was about pickup trucks. And 15 years later, those same trucks would quietly become $100,000 luxury machines. That transformation wasn't an accident. It was a survival strategy born in crisis and buried under marketing gloss. To understand how a work vehicle became a six-figure status symbol, you have to go back further. Winter of 1984. Highland Park, Michigan. Lee Iacocca is still basking in the glow of Chrysler's early loan repayment, announced July 13, 1983. The federal government had guaranteed $1.5 billion in loans in 1979 to prevent Chrysler's collapse. The company survived by focusing on practical, affordable vehicles. But even then, pickup trucks were different. Trucks were classified as light trucks under federal corporate average fuel economy standards created by the Energy Policy and Conservation Act of 1975. That classification gave them looser fuel economy requirements than passenger cars. That single regulatory distinction would reshape the American automotive landscape. In the 1990s, as SUVs and trucks exploded in popularity, the loophole became a gold mine. By 2001, light trucks accounted for more than half of all U.S. vehicle sales. Higher ride height, bigger frames, higher margins. Executives knew exactly what they were doing. Internal industry analyses from the early 2000s repeatedly highlighted profit per unit comparisons. A compact sedan might generate $1,000 to $2,000 in profit. A fully loaded pickup could generate $10,000 or more. By 2005, General Motors reported a net loss of $10.6 billion. But its Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra lines remained among its most profitable vehicles. The company wasn't addicted to volume. It was addicted to truck margins. Then came 2008. On September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. Gas prices had spiked above $4 per gallon earlier that summer. Consumers panicked. Full-size truck sales collapsed almost overnight. Ford F-Series sales dropped from 791,600 units in 2007 to 515,500 in 2009. That wasn't just a sales dip. It was an existential threat, because Ford's internal financial structure depended on truck profitability to subsidize everything else. Alan Mulally had mortgaged nearly every major Ford asset in December 2006, securing $23.5 billion in loans to restructure the company. At the time, it looked like overkill. By late 2008, it looked like foresight. Ford avoided bankruptcy. General Motors didn't. And here's where the psychology shifts. After surviving near death, Detroit learned a brutal lesson. Never depend on cheap cars again. From 2010 onward, the strategy changed. Instead of chasing volume with low-margin sedans, automakers doubled down on high-margin trucks and SUVs. In 2011, Ford reported $20.2 billion in automotive revenue from North America alone. Trucks were the backbone. By the mid-2010s, Ford executives openly acknowledged that the F-Series generated the majority of the company's profit. Then something even more radical happened. The trucks started getting expensive. In 2015, Ford introduced the aluminum-bodied F-150. It was risky. Critics predicted disaster. But the move reduced weight and improved fuel economy, allowing Ford to maintain regulatory compliance while increasing performance. At the same time, trim levels exploded. King Ranch, Platinum, Limited. Then came the Raptor. And finally, in 2021, the F-150 Limited crossed into the $80,000 range when fully optioned. Meanwhile, General Motors launched the GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate. Ram introduced the 1500 TRX, starting above $70,000 and easily exceeding $90,000 with options. Suddenly, a pickup truck could cost as much as a luxury European sedan. Why would Americans pay six figures for something originally designed to haul lumber? Because the American dream changed. After the 2008 crash, median household wealth dropped nearly 39% between 2007 and 2010, according to Federal Reserve data. But by the mid-2010s, asset markets had recovered. On March 5, 2013, the Dow surpassed its pre-crisis high. By January 26, 2018, it closed above 26,000 for the first time. The recovery wasn't equal. It was concentrated, and trucks evolved to serve that concentrated wealth. The modern $100,000 pickup isn't built for contractors. It's built for executives who want to look like contractors. That's not sarcasm. It's positioning. There's a cultural mythology embedded in American pickups. Blue-collar grit, ranch life, oil fields, construction sites, independence. But step inside a 2023 GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate. Open-pore wood trim, full-grain leather seats, massaging functions, a 13.4-inch infotainment screen. It smells like a luxury lounge, not a job site. The truck became a costume. And automakers knew it. Mary Barra, who became CEO of General Motors on January 15, 2014, inherited a company still dealing with the ignition switch scandal that led to at least 124 confirmed deaths. GM agreed to pay $900 million in September 2015 to settle criminal charges. Trust was damaged, but trucks were untouchable, because trucks represented identity. In Texas, Florida, Arizona, states where economic growth surged post-2010, full-size pickup sales climbed again. And here's the financial reality buried beneath marketing. As sedan sales declined in the 2010s, automakers quietly discontinued entire car lines. Ford announced in April 2018 that it would stop selling most passenger cars in North America, focusing almost entirely on trucks and SUVs. Why? Because Wall Street rewards margin, not nostalgia. On July 24, 2018, Ford's stock closed at $10.96. Analysts questioned profitability. Executives pointed to trucks. High-end trucks could generate profit margins rivaling luxury vehicles. Some industry analysts estimate fully loaded pickups can produce gross margins exceeding $15,000 per unit. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands of units. The math is ruthless. And then came the pandemic. March 23, 2020. The Dow closes at 18,591.93 after weeks of collapse. Factories shut down. Supply chains freeze. Semiconductor shortages begin. Automakers are forced to choose which vehicles get limited chips. They choose the expensive ones. Base model trucks get delayed. High-trim trucks get prioritized. Because when supply shrinks, maximize margin. By 2021, dealer markups pushed some Ford F-150 Raptors above $100,000. The Ram TRX with dealer add-ons crossed that threshold easily. The average transaction price of a new vehicle in the United States surpassed $40,000 by 2022, according to Kelley Blue Book. Luxury trucks floated above that average like oil on water. The psychology is layered. Status anxiety plays a role. In an era of widening inequality, the truck became a safe display of wealth. A Mercedes-Benz S-Class screams executive. A $100,000 pickup whispers rugged success. It's aspirational without appearing detached from real America. Executives understand this duality. You can pull up to a board meeting in a Denali Ultimate and signal power without signaling foreign luxury. It's nationalism wrapped in leather. And nationalism sells. But here's the darker truth. The same regulatory structure that nearly killed Detroit in 2008 still incentivizes large vehicles. Light trucks remain subject to different fuel economy calculations than passenger cars. Fleet averages still allow high-profit trucks to subsidize compliance elsewhere. It's not just consumer choice. It's structural design. The system rewards bulk. In internal earnings calls throughout the 2010s, Ford and GM executives repeatedly emphasized mix shift, selling more high-trim, high-margin models, not more trucks. More expensive trucks. By 2023, certain Ford Super Duty models crossed $100,000 when fully equipped. The line between work vehicle and luxury statement had dissolved completely, and the American buyer followed. Because in a country where upward mobility feels fragile, people buy symbols of durability. Steel frames, four-wheel drive, massive grills. It's psychological armor. The same fear that drove SUV sales after 9/11's, height, mass, protection, drives $100,000 pickups today. They are not rational purchases. They are emotional fortresses. Meanwhile, parts of Detroit still bear scars from bankruptcy. Abandoned factories remain. Neighborhoods hollowed out during the recession never fully recovered. Yet truck plants hum. Because the machine learned. After 2009, automakers stopped chasing the broad middle. They chased the profitable top. The smoking gun isn't a secret memo. It's the sales data. From 2010 onward, Detroit engineered a deliberate pivot. Fewer cheap cars, more expensive trucks. When Ford exited most sedan production in 2018, it wasn't surrender. It was calculation. Why fight in a low-margin war when Americans will finance a six-figure pickup over 84 months? 7-year loans became common. Longer terms masked higher prices. Monthly payments felt manageable. The total cost ballooned. It's financial engineering as much as mechanical engineering. And Wall Street approved. Investors don't cheer affordable mobility. They cheer profit per unit. So the pickup evolved from farm tool to suburban family vehicle to executive throne. The irony is sharp. In 2008, trucks nearly dragged Detroit into extinction. By 2023, they were Detroit's lifeline. But lifelines have weight. Household auto loan debt in the United States surpassed $1.5 trillion by 2023, according to Federal Reserve data. Some of that debt is wrapped in chrome and leather. Some of it is parked in suburban driveways, costing $1,200 a month. The factory lights in Dearborn still glow at night. The engines still roll off assembly lines. But the mission changed. Not to build America's workhorse. To build America's armored ego. And as long as margin beats moderation, the price will keep climbing. Because in this country, even a pickup truck can become a luxury fortress. And someone is always willing to finance the dream. Next time, we open the books on who really owns your driveway.